So the very first thing that we did was look at the existing literature by conducting a systematic review to assess the proportion of efficacious, also known as effective, mental health and wellbeing apps that have been successfully adopted and sustained in real-world settings. And that review is quite important because we found that only 43%, or 9 out of 21, of those evidence-based apps for young people are currently available either commercially in app stores or in non-commercial settings such as schools or mental health services. And most of those studies addressed factors such as acceptability, appropriateness, feasibility, and engagement, highlighting the importance of incorporating implementation at the very outset of research. The interviews with young people provided some valuable insights, and we learned a lot from speaking to those with direct experiences of using the app. And there were several important findings from those interviews, but I'll just mention some of the key takeaway messages just now. So the first thing is that extrinsic and intrinsic, also known as external and internal factors, were both important for motivating young people to participate in the research. So although extrinsic factors alone, like financial incentives, for example, may be enough to prompt someone to sign up to and engage in the research, intrinsic factors, like wanting to learn new things or improve mental health and well-being, are needed to ensure longer-term engagement and participation. And this is particularly important when thinking about the sustainability of the apps later down the line, so that when financial incentives for participation can no longer be relied upon for engagement, there are other factors that come into play. And the second thing that stood out to me was that young people reported that their engagement was high in the first few weeks, but over time, usage decreased and often trailed off completely. So in other words, most participants tended to use the app most when they first downloaded it, with a gradual reduction in usage over time. And we identified several reasons for this. So the app not being relevant to them at the time, or being seen as more relevant to others. So perhaps more relevant to those who were stressed with exams or who experienced anxiety. Perceptions that the app was repetitive, time-consuming, inadequate instructions about the purpose and what they could gain from using it. And then other non-app related things such as loss of motivation, forgetting, and being busy. And I think to address this, it's clear that young people want practical skills and usable tools to apply to their current daily life stressors in order to improve their well-being and functioning. So it's important that apps serve an obvious purpose, be relevant, and have a very clear rationale and instructions to enable engagement. The participants spoke about wanting bespoke, personalised apps that are not only tailored to their needs, but also keep them engaged with new content. And then finally, there seemed to be particularly low engagement and acceptability in more traditionally underserved populations, signalling that adaptations would be needed to ensure inclusivity should apps be targeted for their use in the future. And this is something we know is important to understand more about, and we're looking at literature around this at the moment and are hoping to publish something specific on this very soon.